Thought I'd go ahead and hit record on the way home from work today because I was thinking about something. I saw a video today that made me think of a situation when my girlfriend and I were going to the grocery store maybe about a week or two ago. It was one of those times where I was real quiet and in my head, and it's because I was thinking about this that I'm about to tell you, and Lord knows what she was thinking of, but I couldn't even begin to tell her because it sounded corny as fuck, and it sounds corny as fuck now. But what I was thinking is that we had gone to the grocery store that day and we had made damn sure that we had eaten something and that we had made a list before we went to the grocery store. And this was unusual for us. More often than not, we don't do either one of those two and we end up paying for it. And if anybody out there knows what I'm talking about, if you go to the grocery store and you're starving and you haven't eaten with anything, or if you're unprepared and you haven't made a list, you can get real fucked sometimes real quick. You're going to spend a lot more than you're planned on spending because everything's going to look good, or you're going to get a lot of shit instead of some healthy stuff because everything's going to look so good because you're so fucking hungry and you don't have a list to guide you and keep you in check. So it occurred to me as we were driving, I was just in my head thinking, man, it's so much kind of like life, isn't it? And I wish I could explain to people how important that was as it relates to morning routines, because man, my life changed when my morning routine got different. And when I got intentional, i.e. made a list, so to speak, and when I started feeding myself in the morning before my day started. Because if you go into life, it sounds corny as fuck, but if you go into life hungry, and if you go into your day hungry, and your brain is hungry, and your mind is hungry, because there's a difference between your mind and your brain. I've been painting all day. There's a difference between your mind and your brain. I've learned that by, I think it was Andrew Huberman, or maybe Dr. Hyman. I don't know. It's one of those podcasts, but he talks about the difference between the mind and the brain, and you have to feed both, and also your body. And if all three of those are hungry going into the day, you're not going to have the best day you can. You're going to make some pretty shitty decisions because you're going to be desperate and everything's going to sound good, or everything's going to sound shitty. All the good stuff is going to sound shitty, and the stuff that's going to sound good is the easy stuff, and that's usually not the good stuff. So like I said, for a lot of reasons, just like going to the grocery store, you got to feed your brain. You got to have a morning routine that really is fucking good too. And there's a book called The 5 a.m. Club that's incredible. I love all the lessons in it. It's going to be one of those ones that I reread and probably reread again, because the lessons in it are just so numerous, number one, and so profound. As I've looked back in my life, any times I've ever been on, if you will, and on my game, it's when I've been doing things like that, some of the things in the book suggested, because it talks about a lot of other things besides just your morning routine. But one of the things it talks about, obviously, from the name of the book, is how you get your morning routine, and it starts with waking up at 5 a.m. But the big three things it talks about is to feed your body, to feed your mind, and to feed your brain. All three of those things in your first power hour before you even start. So, and you can do this thing is a 5 a.m. club, but you can do it any time of the day that you need to wake up in order to get those three things done. The book suggests 20 minutes on each. Whatever works for you. I don't care if it's 10 minutes on each or 5 minutes on each. I don't care if it's just a couple minutes on each one, just to start the habit, because you're going to find that you're going to want to do more as soon as you start the habit. But you just got to start somewhere. Wake up. If you can't wake up an hour earlier than what you usually do, I don't care if you're already waking up at 5. If you're already waking up at 5, wake up at 4:30 and just do 10 minutes of each. 10, 20, 30, yeah, that's right. 10 minutes of each. Do something physical that's going to get you sweating. I don't care if it's push-ups, sit-ups. Do one or two. Like I said, do nothing that kills yourself. Don't kill yourself. Just do something, because it's going to make you feel good that you did something at the very least. So feed your body and then feed your mind. Your mind just means do something that focuses and just feeds the good part of your day. The good part of your mind. Meaning just focuses it, maybe some meditation, maybe it's a 5 or 10 minute meditation, maybe it's just sitting there without anything, no phones, obviously. You can't touch your phone in the morning until all of this shit is done. But maybe it's no phones, no books, no lights, no nothing, but awake and just thinking with your thoughts for like 5 or 10 minutes in the quiet, the dead quiet. That's feeding your mind, you know? Like I said, there's a lot of things you can do it. I like to meditate. I like to journal. I do gratitudes. Daily gratitudes have been huge for me. That's something else I'll talk about in a video. But daily gratitude's a fucking awesome way. It's hard to have a bad day when you start with thinking about the things that you're grateful for. And everybody has them. I don't care how fucking depressed and angry you are and mad at life you are. I've been there too. I've been angry and pissed off at life and how shitty life is going and how fucking frustrated I am that I'm not getting anywhere close to where I want to be. Those feelings suck. But even in my worst days, if somebody had made me sit down and write things that I was grateful for, I could always think of things I was grateful for. Even if they were shitty, sarcastic things, nonetheless, I was still grateful for them, you know? And just the exercising of practicing gratitude, dude, just that one thing alone, sounds corny as fuck, makes your whole day better. But anyways, and then the third thing is you got to feed your brain. Man, I'll tell you what, all day long I've been feeding my brain and my mind today while I was doing something physical. I was painting today, from my landscaping buddy, is why I was saying that. So I was feeding my body, luckily, all day. But I was also feeding my mind and my brain, too, because I was listening to some amazingly positive, good shit. Today, I happened to be listening to Grant Cardone, the 10X Rule. It's funny because I'll talk about it in another video, but that's a book that I had started a while ago, and I couldn't get into it. There was something about his personality that it was abrasive and it rubbed me raw, you know? Boy, I don't like how that sounded. Anyways, it just rubbed me the wrong way. You know, I don't know what it was. That macho, arrogant man sounding thing. I don't know. I'm sure he'd laugh about it if I said it, because who the fuck am I? Number one, what the fuck does he care what I think? Number two, he probably knows it about himself, that he comes across that way a lot of ways. Most people like him that are successful are incredibly aware of every way they're perceived and not perceived. So, and that's why one of the reasons they're successful is because they're aware of that, and then they control it more. I'm sure he intends to be the way he is because he offends the right people and doesn't offend the right people. But anyways, I've been feeding my brain all day, and I say feeding my mind and my brain because, man, that just makes me feel positive and pumped up to listen to that shit all day. And maybe that's not for you, that's not your thing, but listen to something that's going to make you feel pumped up and positive to feed your brain, your mind, and listen to something that's going to feed your brain too every day. Ideally before you start in the morning. And again, feed your brain with good logical things that are going to help move you forward. There's a lot of things you can feed your brain with that aren't going to help move you forward, and that's great. Trivial stuff. I used to spend hours and hours on YouTube just down the rabbit holes full of shit that were great at a party, that if anybody ever said, hey, there's such and such, they're talking about something, and I'll be like, hey, did you know such and such? Really? It sounds real impressive to people at a party, but it did absolutely fucking nothing to move my life forward and to get me closer to where I wanted to be and where I was frustrated that I wasn't. So anyways, like I said, I'm going to wrap this up, but that grocery store analogy, don't ever go to the grocery store hungry and without a list, man, because you'll be fucked, and you know it. Everybody who lives and has the grocery shop fucking knows that, you know, that every time they don't do that, they're fucked. Well, guess what? Like I said, it's the same way with your life. If you don't start your day feeding your brain, feeding your body, and feeding your mind, and all three of those things, and you go to the store and you go into life unprepared and hungry, you're going to be fucked. You're going to make poor decisions, and it's going to affect the rest of your day and the rest of your week and the rest of your month and the rest of your life until you change it. Anyways, I know all that sounds corny as fuck. I'm glad I was about to pull up my child's house, so I'm glad this was perfect timing. If you enjoyed in any way, shape, or form what you saw today, I appreciate a like, a thumbs up. This is the first time I've ever added this to the end of a video, by the way, so I'd appreciate a like, a thumbs up, and please subscribe if you feel like there's any way you can relate to me. Love you guys. Have a good one. Bye.